Hey Cherie, how you doing today?
I'm good today. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you. How's your day been so far?
Smooth. We've ticked all the Christmas stuff off, so I can now breathe, relax, and just wait to wrap presents. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, so let the viewers know who you are, what you do, and why you do it, Cherie.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Cherie Jones. I am a dating coach, but also a founder of a dating agency to help bring people back together again in relationships and dating, as well as a service for men only to help them bring clarity and peace in dating because they are leaving the market a little bit.
Okay, great, great. So when you look back at your journey, how did you decide that you wanted to go down that path when you look at the kind of path that you were taking before and how it led into what you do now?
I think I started off in corporate. I'm ex-army as well, so I've kind of dabbled in, all careers. I think you can take so many skills from all of these jobs and apply them to something that you feel really passionate about. I've been like single for like near enough 7 years, so I've dated and seen what was about. I've done the apps and really tried hard and saw that actually we have no one telling us how to do this. We're all just talking about a problem that no one's solving.
Hmm.
So here I am. I launched a business in February after being a self-employed PA for about 4 years. And from there, it's just grown. It's going mental. We're having singles evenings. We've got the agency, which is growing in Plymouth and Cornwall, Devon. We have workshops going on, and we also have coaching clients as well. So it's growing more than I thought, but that kind of shows me I'm on the right path.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I like to hear the success that you're having with it as well. And when we look at our own personal lives, we've all had different struggles within relationships, and oftentimes we get into things that relate to our own stories and things like that. So when you look at your own personal story, in previous relationships, what would you say some of the struggles you've had in previous relationships are, and how did you navigate through those to get to where you are now?
Good, big question there. Big question. Okay, so I grew up not being taught by my dad how to be loved properly, which I think it all stems from. It stems from your parental relationships and how their relationships worked. And then also going into life as dating a woman single and dating, not actually looking for what I thought was needed, which is maybe attachment style of anxious. So thinking that I wasn't good enough for them rather than are they good enough for me? There was also not being able to accept love because I couldn't love myself, as corny as that may sound. So, how could I receive love? And I would bat it off and deny it, whether that was a compliment or an act of service. I definitely found that I wasn't getting the energy, the people, and I was like, okay, what's wrong with me here?
Right, right. A lot of the things that we go through stem from our childhood. So, when you found out that you were having these issues like receiving love, what was it like for you to discover how to start to love yourself and realize that you can receive love?
Very difficult. I think it's an ever-growing journey, especially when you've lived a certain amount of your life believing or having beliefs that aren't suitable for you now. I think that it was super difficult to realize I was a problem, which I don't think we all recognize in single dating and relationships, that actually we can actually step back and think, is there anything I can do here to be better?
Mhm.
So that is what I did, whether that was from Mel Robbins' high five habit or having daily baths because it felt warming to me, cold showers, Wim Hoffman exercises. The full range over the last 6 years have been ticked to find this balance that I needed in life. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, a lot of the work of self-love, it's about within, it's about us within. So until people can really take that journey within, it's difficult to really start to love themselves. And often people try to do it on their own, but sometimes they need like a support with that, which is where like coaching can be beneficial for those kind of people. But you say that you work a lot with men to do with dating, right? And I myself, I speak to a lot of women. So
No.
what are some of the issues that you see that men are facing when it comes to women understanding where they're coming from?
Okay, so the biggest problem we've got right now with men is that they're just not into entertaining, dating, pursuing women or any sort of sexual relationship. We've got stupid stats coming out that more men than ever are having sexless relationships. We've got more stats that they're not even trying to pursue. So I think our biggest problem with men right now, over 30, is that they're not interested in dating because of either parental issues that they haven't sorted or previous relationship trauma that is kind of holding them back and making them think that's what everyone else is going to do. So I'm just going to pull out.
Hmm. So, like in your opinion, what are some of the solutions to this type of kind of men wanting to pull out from like dating and relationships? Like, what is the real issue that can be solved, or what are the first steps that can be taken?
From what I'm seeing, it's more of a lack of confidence and competence. So I kind of look at it for, I would say, most of my clients, it's the fact that they are scared a woman's gonna, if they do approach a woman, which I'm heavily recommend to most people to get over their approach anxiety, is that if they approach a woman, she's gonna scream grape or whatever it is, and that it's gonna end really bad. So very much like a red pill sort of vibe that women are
Mhm.
kind of bad and they're just going to be hurtful to them. So it's more about giving them the competence and confidence that that isn't an all women situation. And also that they're going to live after they get rejected.
Right, 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 right.
I think that rejection therapy seems to be the biggest thing I do for clients because we need to desensitize from rejection. We all get rejected in life. This is relationships, this is personal, this is business. Their rejection is a part of life. And I feel we, more so men, have kind of hid away from that now.
Right, right. So, like, when you speak about rejection, it is a part of a life. And, but would you say, like, men approaching women in the street is a positive or negative thing? And, like, because, like, some women, they say that they like that, some women don't like that. So, what is your opinion on, like, how men should approach a woman from the experiences that you've had?
I teach people to approach women. So it is something that I believe is needed in this world. We have, I think it was Chris Williamson on a recent podcast of Modern Wisdom said there was like 76% of women in a recent study of 2023 said that they want to be approached by a man. They
Hmm.
want the man to make the first move. And regardless of how much money we earn or how much we can do for ourselves, that's still something a man can do. And it kind of helps the man then be in the position of like kind of authority as well. Because again, with us earning more money, men don't really know where to put themselves. And them approaching and having that confidence and power. And also, if they get rejected, which they will, you will get rejected when you do this, they walk away and they're not emotionally attached to the outcome.
I agree. So,
It
like,
start,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just about to say, it starts with being able to approach a stranger and ask them for the time. It starts from the very basics and then you work your way up and get more confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so from the woman's perspective, women don't usually like approach men, right? So, but they also do have a desire for a type of man that they want. So, in what kind of ways, like for you, for example, like how would you like want to attract the kind of a man that you are interested in?
I think it's putting yourself in places that you will surround yourself with the right audience. I tell my men all the time, go to Pilates class. You're going to be surrounded by women. There's not going to be many men. So as a woman, it would be about putting myself in that place and then having open gestures, smiling, making eye contact, going back to how we did it before to get the man to feel safe to come and approach us.
Right.
So it's a working, it is like the fish going round. It takes two of us to do this,
Mm.
and the
So,
women need to do that too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you spoke about like making the man feel safe, but like in your opinion, if you need to make a man feel safe, is that the
Mhm.
type of man that you are interested in?
I think when I say that, let's just remember what men are feeling right now in the UK and USA. They are pulling away from the dating and pursuing women because they are scared of getting accused of doing whatever if they approach, or they are scared of reactiveness from humans, whether that's women, male or female. I, yeah, I do agree that it will help people feel better about it as long as they can deal with the rejection. I think
Mm.
it gives you power and confidence. I've approached men. I'm not scared to approach a man. But at the same time, it doesn't make them less masculine because I've either like smiled at them or gave them eye contact or made them have a warm cue to come in to this space because we haven't made that a thing now. That's
Yeah,
gone. We need to try.
so I guess what you're saying is like just making yourself available to the kind of man that you're interested in. But at the same time, would you want to see some confidence in him already, or do you feel like it doesn't matter if he's lacking confidence as long as you are giving him signals, that's good enough for you? Or do you feel like it's important for him to be having that type of confidence within himself already after you give him some like choosing signals, for example?
Yes, of course. I think for anyone to approach anyone, it takes an extreme amount of confidence. And yeah, of course, it is a confidence is sexy. You know, anyone, it doesn't matter what you look like, if you're confident and you're not arrogant with it is a sexy look. So yeah, confidence plays a massive part, but still being able to understand the world that we live in where people are not talking to each other in public.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, we're all down in our phones or we're plugged in. So the chances of being able to give someone a smile or, eye contact a couple times, you only need it like two or three times for them to like be like, oh, okay, that is something I might go and pursue.
Right, right. Like, and you did mention like you like to approach men sometimes. Have you always been that way, or is that something that you discovered that you wanted to pursue going down and trying that because like for other reasons, or maybe you just like it just came out of you, or what was it like for you to start approaching men?
It was fun. I don't like rejection. Like, okay, it's like we don't like rejection. I went through a list of 50 things to do rejection therapy. So I did this probably about 3 years ago. I know it's just blown up online now again, but I did 50 things to get me out of get me out of my head and get rejected in essence. So for me to go up to a man was very much like after all of that training. So
Hmm.
very different. Also, I know I'm going to be okay if he says no.
Hmm.
That's the biggest thing. I'm going to be able to walk away and carry on with my day.
So would you say that you're a bit of a unicorn in that situation, or would you say like, or do you feel like it's natural for women to also approach men? And if so, like, what would be your advice to women on how they can start approaching men if you think that's something natural that can come from them?
I think it can naturally happen for women. I wouldn't chuck a woman in the city centre and say, go approach that man. But I think networking events, I think occasions, I think gym, there's opportunities where we as women can show interest to a man instead of it being the other way around. Yeah, I think that's possible.
Okay,
And
okay.
I do think by women doing that, well, again, going back to women doing it, you've got to have confidence in yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. You can do this if you've got confidence that you are who you say you are, and that when you walk away, if they say no, you're okay. That's it.
Right, right.
But it's so much easier for a woman to approach a man, I
Okay.
feel. I feel we can compliment you on what you're wearing because men don't get complimented that much in life. So we could compliment you on what you're wearing, how you smell, what you're doing, what you're drinking, reading. There's so many ins for a woman to just slide in there. Yeah.
Would you say that it's easier for a woman because most men are likely to say yes to a woman approaching them, or why do you think it's easier?
I don't I think it's easier because women have more options naturally. I'm not saying more options for the healthy relationship, but there was a social study done where a woman was in New York City and asked over 1,000 men if they would go with her and have sex with her, and over 97% did say yes. So it just shows you that, yeah, of course we've got more options, but it depends what that option is. I don't want just a one night stand. I'm looking for a healthy growing relationship. So again, it is easier because men are like less likely to say no, but at the same time, you need to be in the right crowd. You need to be approaching the right sort of people and being in the right areas.
Yeah, and would you say that's another reason why women don't approach men because like most of them are likely to say yes, but not for a long-term relationship maybe, but just for like a good time, whereas the women may be looking for some kind of a relationship.
Yeah, good question. I don't think women don't approach for that reason. I think that women just want the men to approach us. I think
Right.
we just would rather be approached. I don't think it's for any particular reason. As long as you are clear in your intentions and your standards and your boundaries, there's no reason for you to go down that route and then end up in a situation you don't want to be because you're being clear and you're being intentional. So no, I wouldn't for that. I think it's more that we would prefer the man to approach.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess it's like what the woman wants as well. Maybe she just wants to have fun as well, or like if she wants something long term, maybe she'd want to be approached. But if she just want to have fun, like that could work for her as well. I guess
Yeah,
like we agree with
possibly.
that.
Again, where are you? Well, what room are you in? What are these people like? It kind of all depends on the human.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, like looking at people that like are kind of focused heavily on their professional life, maybe like they're coming from a failed relationship, men and women included, right? So they kind of shut themselves off from like the dating scene altogether. But like by focusing so heavily on their professional life, it doesn't help their intimate side get fixed in any way. So they realize that like there's a gap between themselves and their intimate life, but
Mhm.
they don't know how to bridge this gap anymore because they're so heavily focused on their professional life. In what
Mhm.
ways can people in this situation start to bridge that gap once again and get back into the dating scene?
I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that are literally work driven. So, good question. It's more about getting in your schedule because they're normally quite, type A people are very particular. They have schedules, more about fitting in that schedule, some activities that put you around people that you're not normally around, both sexes. Yeah. So it's more about choosing, and this is what you have to do. You have to be like, for 2 hours, you're going to be going for a walk with this singles group, or for an hour, you're going to go to this networking event and maybe just try and push a conversation slightly less away from work. It's more about forcing them and being like, well, you can do it if you want to.
Yeah, 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 for
Not
sure.
only just a sharp hand. I'm ex-army, so I just go army sergeant on them, and it works. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I can see, I can see that. I can see that in your personality and everything as well. Yeah. So, like some people, they look at like their previous relationships, maybe once again, it didn't work out, right? And going forward, they don't really want to get bogged down by the kind of pain that they went through again, right? If they've gone to go to a new relationship. So they start looking at different relationship dynamics, different ways it can work for them. And they start looking at things like monogamy versus non-monogamy and what that looks like and, whatever dynamics are out there for them. So in your opinion, and in that context, what is your viewpoint on monogamy versus non-monogamy?
I geek out on this subject because I am friends with a lot of polyamorous people. So I'm quite used to being around the open relationship sort of vibe. I'm a monogamous person, so I'm naturally my preference is that there is, two humans that can come together and create a healthy relationship, but it has to be two humans that choose to do that. If the studies are showing as well that the men that have multiple wives, or apart from like the cult side of things, but you've got some really famous YouTubers right now who are coming out and saying, like, I partied hard, I had so much fun, but actually one woman is plenty enough. And that gives me the connection, stability, and everything I need. So do what you need to do. I'm open. Everyone is each to their own. However, I do believe in monogamy, and I do believe that that creates the bond that we seem to be desiring.
Okay, great. So, before we talk more about monogamy, for people that like are interested in non-monogamy and or open up the relationship that they're in what ways can they start to have that conversation with their partner if they're worried that if they speak about it, their partner's not going to accept it and it could break the relationship?
it, Again, we don't get taught how to have difficult conversations. So everyone's fearful of them. I think just honesty, pure honesty. With polyamorous couples, the one thing I have heavily noted is that there's normally one person that's really keen and they're the instigator, and there's one person that doesn't want to lose this person. So they do it. And then ultimately, resentment is created over a period of whatever time that happens. So as long as I think with polyamorous couples, communication needs to be the highest level of highest level. It needs to be top tier. There's no emotional attachment to what we're speaking to each other. We're just having an honest conversation. Boundaries are massive as well. So again, clear cut communication and boundaries.
Right, right, right. And like some people will say, people that are like are looking for non-monogamy or to open up relationship, it means there's something missing in their relationship. Do you think there's some truth to this, or can people have non-monogamous relationships without something being missing?
I, without the psychology degree behind me, yeah, I would like to say there was something from childhood that has taught you or given you a belief that one human isn't enough. I know the rest of the world doesn't follow by monogamy, but at the same time, there's something special given by monogamy. We can see that in the couples that are like 80 years old and they're still laughing together, you know? We just don't see this sort of content online. All we see is like the negative and the problems rather than the actual couples that did stay and did fight it, you know, fight it out quite literally and choose each other every day. So again, I'm not a psychologist and I can't comment, but I would definitely say that there is a belief there. Yeah.
Okay. And like for people that are monogamous, like monogamies are what they've chosen going forward, and that's what they want, right? Sometimes there's there can still be jealousy within a relationship where one partner's saying to the other partner, "Oh, you're always looking at this person, or you're always talking to these people," right? And they're getting accused of different things all the time. And the partner that's getting accused is like, why am I always getting accused? Like I might as well go and do something like the amount of times I'm getting accused. So how can the partner that's always getting accused be able to communicate with their partner that they don't need to be accusing them? And how can the jealous partner start to deal with their jealousy?
Mhm. Okay, so the jealous partner, let's just go straight into that. If there is no reason for this person to cause you mistrust, like for you not to trust them, then we know it's to do with any previous relationship or childhood trauma. So it would be that person asking, like, has this person really give me any reason to feel paranoid about his phone? We do have an issue right now where I guess couples are unsure about the conversation of what's cheating or what they're comfortable with. Now, for me personally, I don't want any man I'm dating or seeing or with to be scrolling Instagram and zooming in and liking girls' pictures. That's just unacceptable for me. So that's something that I would clearly, quite clearly state as a boundary, but everyone else is different. So I think it's clear communication with regards to the flip side and the receiver of the insecurity. As long as that person can stand by the fact they've gave that person no reason to make them jealous, then it is about a clear communication of we can't go on like this. So I will help you as much as I can by listening and by being consistent and by being there for you, but at the same time, you've got the issue,
Mm.
and then you're pushing that on me, you're projecting that on me, and I'm not that person.
Right. Yeah, when you speak about like someone scrolling through Instagram, for example, and it coming down to insecurity, do you feel like that could be a major problem in a relationship if the insecurity is too high, or do you think it's more of a matter of respect in a relationship?
Going back to previous conversation, I couldn't accept compliments from people I was dating because I didn't believe them myself. So yeah, I think insecurity needs to be looked at, accepted. You have these insecurities for whatever reasons. That's okay. Now, how can I go forward in a new relationship and not drag all that with that? Because I would like to go into any relationship trusting them wholeheartedly until they give me a reason not to.
Right, 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 right. Now, sometimes when we look at like jealousy in a relationship, like we were talking about, like sometimes there's actually some truth to it, and someone's actually stepped out of the relationship, and there's been infidelity. And oftentimes, when this happens, the partner that has stepped out doesn't communicate to their partner about what has happened, and they start to carry around a sense of guilt about what they've done. But they'd like to communicate with their partner and come clean to their partner. In what ways can they have this conversation about stepping out of the relationship with their talking to their partner about this without necessarily destroying the relationship if possible? And for the person that has been cheated on, how can they receive this information without it kind of breaking them like the trust that they have going forward if they were to reconsider the relationship?
It's a big one, really big. I guess it will be different for males and females because I do truly believe that if a woman cheated on a man and they are someone that's done some work on themselves and they know they've got issues and they're working on them, he's going to leave her. It's only really women that keep allowing men to come back after that situation. So I do think it's a subject that can be worked on. But again, like my granddad used to say, once trust is broken, it's the hardest thing to build back. And from experience of myself, I've been cheated on by a longtime partner. I thought I could deal with it. I thought we could talk through it and emotionally I'd be sound. And it was just so far from the truth. And it was once I accepted that I'm not okay with that. I'm not going to be able to trust you again. Like there was just peace, absolute peace. So I think really you need two humans that are one very regretful, remorseful, and genuinely sorry, or so, like two people that really do belong together, but there was a mistake. I'm cut. I'm like cut dry. So it's really difficult to comment wholeheartedly. I let everyone have like opinion of all, but at the same time, if the trust is gone.
Right, right, right. So, like in your opinion, from your personal experience, would you say that like forgiveness is not a viable option because the trust can never be the same again?
Yeah, I don't like the saying forgive and forget. I think accept and move on is probably the new one we should be using for 2025.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's about accepting what's happened and realizing that's not going to change and it sucked and it hurt and there's pain and there's time, but you will get over it and you will live. And guess what? Now you've just had training. So it's about looking at like, okay, well, it wasn't all bad, the relationship and just looking at the relationship and evaluating it in a more of a zoomed out sort of way rather than emotional.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so like looking at like brand new relationships now, when people get into brand new relationship, they tend to feel a lot of butterflies. There's a lot of chemistry going on, and they really want to immerse themselves into this new relationship that they've embarked on. But some people, like within that process of immersing themselves, they start to lose their sense of self. So how can people immerse themselves in a brand new relationship without necessarily losing their sense of self in the process?
Really good question. Firstly, I would like to say that if you are feeling butterflies on a date, that's anxiety, and that isn't necessarily a good thing. That's your body reacting to something that you probably are not aware of. So, yes, we should be feeling excited and giddy and like from a woman's point of view, like proper schoolgirl, like excited, but at the same time, there should be a level of calmness as well. Going into any new relationship, I think there's patience, there's time, and to not get sucked into the honeymoon period or love bombing stage of any relationship that happens is about communication, is about pulling on Esther Perel, which is a number one sex therapist in the world. It's pulling on the Mark Manson's How Not to Give a Fuck. Like there's just so many people around us that can help ground us when dating, when we get excited. Now I'm like ADHD, slight autism, so I get really excited. I have like that infatuation, and it is about having control and going, okay, but like what I've seen and then realistically reviewing it in my head and not romanticizing it, which I think we all tend to do in the beginning stages.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so like, looking at all the like people that you've worked with as well, what would you say was the biggest thing that you've learned from like the different issues that people come with, like to do with dating and relationships that you've learned, and how can what are the solutions to those issues that you've come across?
Okay, so setting boundaries. I don't think that people know that they can set boundaries or what their boundaries are in dating and relationships. So I think the first thing that you should be looking at if you're about to date or looking to date is working out exactly what your ideal partner would be, what your boundaries would be, what you class as cheating. Do you want children? Like have all this information that you've checked off so you know for yourself what you're going in for. I think taking slow dating is something I highly recommend to kind of like help everyone be at ease with this and just lots of communication now instead of text messages, have phone calls, have FaceTimes, be in person and try and remove texting and messages from how you date because I think people get sucked into that and then forget that there's a real life version needed.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, Cherie, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for everything that you've shared. Where could people find you, find out more about you, and find out more about what you do?
Thank you. It's my website, lgio.co.uk. And then we have my Instagram, which is Cherie Jones. And I do have TikTok and all the rest, but I am pulling away from social media. So I am on there. There's videos on there. It's all Cherie Jones or LGIO dating.
Great, great. And for the viewers, all of that information will be in the description so you can get in touch with Cherie and find out more about what she does. Once again, Cherie, thank you so much for coming on. Any final words before we wrap up?
Please, can we just start communicating more? That's it. Just communicate. We all have crazy thoughts. Just say them.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Cherie.
Thank you. Have a good day.